My name is Candice Marie Benbow. I am a public theologian and I'm an author and I am a literary agent. When I think of the word elevate, I think of pushing myself or pushing anyone to be the highest version of who they can be. I think of all of the potential and power that we have as individuals and the collective. I think that I use my gifts to elevate my community by just being honest and authentic. I think that for so many of us who were born and raised in the church, we were taught to have this kind of mask over us and like to not necessarily give as much about who we are, how we feel, our experiences, because we don't want to quote unquote like not be the good girl. And I think that the way that I try to at least elevate my community is to say that like we don't have to be those stereotypes. We don't have to live into those false realities. Like we can just be who we are, and that is enough. It's more than enough. So I think the intersection between culture and spirituality has always been the lifeblood of Black culture and Black people. Like we have always found ways, particularly Black women, we've always found ways to lean into spirit. We've always found ways to lean into who we are as a people. And there, like that synergy is what has allowed us to be alive. It's what has sustained us. Like culture and spirituality for Black folk, culture and spirituality for Black women go hand in hand. Like we are culture, we are spirit. There's a reason why Black women in particular are the most spiritual and the most religious demographic in this country. Like we love to believe, we love to feel, we love to engage with everything that makes us human. We love to lean into spirit in ways that give us life and allow us to cultivate our gifts and our talents. And so when I think about the intersection of culture and spirituality, it's gotta be Black women. I think I would say it this way, like to be a disruptor in spaces as a Black woman of faith, as a public theologian, it has been important for me to maintain my own physical and mental health and wellness. And so in ways that I hadn't done before, I made a commitment to myself this year that at every turn I would prioritize me. And I'll be very honest, I had not done that before, right? So for me, going to the gym, for me, reading every day, I close my day out with a walk, taking my dog for a walk. When there is something that overwhelms me, I have absolutely no problems with closing my laptop and taking a nap. Like there are ways that I think that too many of us forget that we're human first, right? So before we were called to do any kind of work in our communities, before we were called to engage in change, we were called to live, we were called to be, we were called to breathe, right? And so I want to honor every version of me. I want to honor every opportunity that I'm given by putting myself first. And that means doing the things that I love, doing the things that give me joy. About 2 years ago, I prayed a prayer and I said, God, I want to be awed every day. I want to be inspired every day. And so a self-care practice for me has been to look for something that amazes me every single day. And I think that when you do that, it allows you to, one, stay grounded. It allows you to stay connected to what's important when the world gets crazy for me. I do what my grandmother told me to do when I was diagnosed with major depression and anxiety disorder. And they, were telling me all of these things. And my grandma was like, look, I don't know about all of these medicines, and if you feel like you need to take them, that's fine. But I want you to make me a promise. When the world is going crazy, when you feel entirely too out of yourself, I want you to take your shoes off, go outside, and recite the 23rd Psalm. She told me to do that like 4 or 5 years ago, and I still do it to this day. Like that for me, when anything has tried to decenter me, when anything has tried to shake me, I will go outside barefoot, feet in the grass, and recite the 23rd Psalm. And that has been a part of what self-care, loving me, bringing me back to wholeness, bringing me back to life has looked like. So the role that community plays in my spiritual journey is that community is a part of spirit for me, right? Like, God shows up for me through the people that I love, through the people that I surround myself with. I feel like we often don't realize, particularly those of us who are part of communities of faith, and especially those of us who consider ourselves to be Christians, I don't think that we take seriously just how much people are the true hands and feet of Jesus, right? Like, we don't take seriously enough just how much the people in our life are representations of how much God loves us. They are manifestations of grace. They are literal embodiments of forgiveness and mercy. My family, my friends, the people that I go and work out with at the gym, they all find ways, my sorority sisters, they all find ways to remind me that all I'm supposed to do in this life is be myself, and to love people, love God, love creation, be the best version of myself that I can be, push other people to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. And I think that too many of us forget that we can't do that without community, right? Like, spirituality, there are parts of our spiritual walk, there are parts of our religious identity that are individual, right? And that are unique to us. But faith and spirituality is lived out in community, right? Like, I can say that I believe all of these things, but how you see me treat people, how you see me engage and interact with people, what you see my priorities to be, that shows you what I truly believe. And so without community, we really don't have the space to even live out or think through or understand what we're calling faith, what we're calling religion, what we're calling spirituality. Like, those are people are the space, our relationships are the space for us to understand who we really say we are and what we really believe. I believe that what is calling me to this moment of torch bearing or torch carrying is a clear indication that we need more truth telling in the world. And I don't say that to be arrogant. Like, I want to be very clear there. Like, I think that I'm not sitting here saying I'm the only truth teller, right? But I do think that there's a certain level of vulnerability. There's a certain level of transparency that I think that we're all called to live into. And to be very honest, the experiences of my life, walking through it without my mom, without my grandmother now, having navigated some really deep losses and traumatic experiences, I can't afford not to be honest. I can't afford not to be transparent and vulnerable, because that that is a life-giving source for me. And I think that that is what caused me to this moment, right? That the gratitude of being able to survive all that I have survived is to give myself to the call, to give myself over to what it means to be a sojourner with another sister, what it means to be a fellow traveler with somebody who may be walking through grief, who may be walking through questioning their faith, who may be trying to figure out if they're going to be able to make it. And I think that the beauty of where I am now is that I get to tell that sister, I was once where you were. And if I was once where you were, then that means that one day you're going to be where I am. And that means that you will not be where you are now. We are all overcomers. That is, to me, the greatest gift that I think any of us can be given, is the opportunity to tell somebody else that they have the ability to survive and thrive. So I am currently writing. I am writing book 2 and thinking through the beauty of grief and how we are made whole, how we are left undone and remade in all of the ways that loss and grief change us. I'm really, really excited about that. It gives me an opportunity to speak to and about the different kind of relationship that I have with grief now, and the one that I think allows us to have a much more holistic understanding of what it means to lose, and to challenge a lot of the theological perspectives that made us think that our pain and loss had to produce something or had to be productive in our lives in some kind of way. So I'm excited about that. I have also started a new role as a literary agent, and I think that one of the greatest gifts that any of us can be given is the opportunity to hold the door open for somebody else who did not have the same opportunities that we may have had, but are just as gifted, if not more so, but need, help and an opportunity. And I am really excited that as a literary agent, I get to be that for some folks. And so I'm really happy. And I think that, when you have come over a lot of things and you make the decision to live, you make the decision to thrive, and then you settle into what that life looks like, you get a lot of joy. And I have settled into life. And I cannot think of a greater way to honor my mother. I can't think of a greater way to honor my grandmother. I can't think of a greater way to honor God and my ancestors for pushing me and guiding me than to just live and thrive. I am Candice Marie Benbow, and you are tuned into Elevate.